In the heart of a city that never slept, where the streets sparkled with the shine of designer shoes and imported cars, lived a woman whose name stirred both admiration and fear. Everywhere she went, heads turned. Her heels echoed on marble floors like music. Her clothes, always sharp and expensive. She was beauty wrapped in elegance, light brown skin that glowed, and a voice as smooth as velvet. But behind the glamour, behind the magazine covers and TV interview, was a woman trapped in silence. They whispered about her at work, in saloons, on the streets. She is rich, but no man dares come close to her. Anita heard the whispers, every word cut deep, but she smiled through it all. She had trained herself to wear confidence like a crown. But at night, in the silence of her penthouse apartment, she cried. Not once, not twice, almost every night. She would lie in bed, holding her body like it was foreign to her. "God, why me?" she would whisper. "Why did you let me be born like this?" She wasn't always powerful. Her journey started from the slums of the same city, where broken buildings told stories of forgotten dreams. She was only 10 years old when it happened. One night, she had gone to buy bread from the corner shop. A man from the street, a man people trusted, dragged her behind a broken wall. But he never succeeded, because when he tried to touch her, he screamed. Blood gushed. His hands trembled and he ran like he saw a ghost. Anita sat there shaking, confused, until her auntie came, running with a lantern. She didn't tell her what happened. She couldn't. She didn't even understand it herself. But that wasn't the last time it happened. 2 more times in her teenage years, people tried to take what wasn't theirs. And 2 more times they left with bloody regrets. By the time she was 18, she knew she had teeth down there. Real teeth. Sharp, dangerous and alive. She avoided relationships. She avoided kisses. Even hugs makes her anxious. But the world only saw the strong Anita. The woman who built a fashion brand from scratch. The one who launched a tech company that was now the talk of Africa. She was on the cover of City Weekly twice in 1 year. Girls wanted to be her. Men admired her. But none got close. Until Michael. Michael was different, or so she thought. He was a photographer, creative, funny, honest. For the first time, she let someone into her world. They dated for 6 months. She felt safe. One night, as they sat in her apartment with jazz music playing and candlelight dancing across the walls, he tried to take things further. She froze, her heart raced. "I need to tell you something," she said. He looked into her eyes and smiled. "It's okay, we don't have to rush." But Anita was tired of hiding, tired of running. So she told him, "Not everything, just enough." "There is something wrong with me, Michael," she said, voice shaking. "There is something inside me, something that hurts anyone who tries to get close." Michael laughed at first. He thought she was just joking. But when she insisted, he became quiet. Then he stood up, picked up his keys and said, "I am sorry, Anita. I don't think I can handle this kind of thing." She watched him walk slowly away. And that night she cried again. In the city's eyes, she was a goddess. In her own heart, she felt cursed. She tried everything. Doctors said they found nothing unusual. Scans came out clean. One gynecologist even accused her of making it all up. She turned to churches. Pastor laid hands on her and shouted prayer into her ears. One man even claimed he saw a snake living in her womb. She turned to traditional healers. They gave her roots to boil, baths to take, things to chant. Nothing worked. Nothing. At 30, Anita sat alone in her black silk robe on a wide couch in her living room. The city lights outside were beautiful, but they didn't comfort her. In her hand was a small photograph of herself at age 10, the year she first discovered the truth. Tears rolled down her cheeks. She dropped the photo and buried her face in her palms. "Will I ever be loved?" she cried. "Will I ever be normal?" The clock ticked slowly. The wind whispered through the glass. The city outside danced in lights and music. But inside, Anita's heart beat with pain, with fear, and with questions that have haunted her all her life. Why was I born like this? The city moved fast, cars racing past billboard, women walked in high heels like they were chasing time, and digital screens flashing the latest fashion collections. But Anita moved slower now. She had started wearing less makeup. Her eyes were tired. Her smile had become a rare thing. Her staff at work noticed it. Her driver noticed it. Even her housekeeper, Mama Ruth, asked her one evening, "Madam, are you okay?" Anita just nodded. But she wasn't okay. She was tired of pretending. Behind her success, there was a pain she could no longer hide. That month, Anita made it her mission. She was going to find a solution or die trying. She booked appointments with medical specialists across the country. Some were kind, some were rude, most were confused. "Your scans are clean," one doctor said, tapping his screen. "There's nothing medically wrong with you." But Anita knew her body. She left the hospital with a fake smile and tears in her heart. Next, she went to a popular spiritual house on the outskirts of the city. It was big with flags, posters, and a loud preacher who welcomed her like royalty. For 7 days, she stayed there. She fasted, she prayed, she cried, she rolled on the floor. The prophet poured oil on her head and shouted, "Come out, spirit of darkness, come out from her womb." But when the 7 days ended, the teeth was still there, sharp as always. Anita got into her car and wept into her handbag. In the last attempt, she visited a traditional woman healer who lived in the forest area. The woman was old, her eyes like cloudy glass, and her voice sounded like rustling leaves. "You were born with protection," the woman said, touching Anita's stomach with her long fingers. "It is not a curse, my child. It is a gift." Anita's lips quivered. "Then why does it hurt so much?" The woman gave her herbs, soaps, and a powder to rub every night. Weeks passed. Still, nothing happened. Nothing changed. Anita then gave up. She returned to the city broken. One cloudy afternoon, as she sat in a quiet rooftop cafe, trying to sip tea she didn't even want, a voice interrupted her thoughts. "Excuse me, is this seat taken?" She looked up. He was tall, dark, with curious brown eyes and kind smile. He wore a plain white t-shirt and black trousers, simple but clean. "No, go ahead," she said softly. He smiled and sat down, typing something on his laptop. Anita tried not to stare because he was too handsome, but there was something calming about him. He wasn't trying too hard. He wasn't looking at her the way most men would. 15 minutes passed before he looked up and said, "Sorry for disturbing your peace. I came here to work sometimes. I am Kwame, by the way." She nodded. Anita. He didn't react. No shock expression. No fanboy excitement. Nothing. "Just Anita?" he asked. She chuckled. "Just Anita." They talked about books, about music, about life in the city. He was a freelance writer, smart, witty, and honest. Anita found herself laughing, really laughing for the first time in months. Days passed, then weeks. They kept meeting, sometimes at the cafe, sometimes for a walk in the city park, sometimes just random calls that lasted hours. He made her feel seen, not as the rich woman, not as the boss lady, not as the woman with a dark secret, but just Anita. One evening, while walking by the lakeside near her estate, he said something. "I like talking to you, Anita. You are real." She smiled. "You are not so bad yourself." There was a silence between them, a good one, comfortable, but deep down, Anita was scared. She could feel something growing, something dangerous. Later that night, she stood in front of her mirror, wearing a long silk gown, her hair falling in soft coils around her shoulders. She whispered to her reflection, "Don't fall for him, Anita. Don't do it again." But her heart was already on the edge. She was falling and she knew it. Anita had lived her life like a fortress, tall, proud, and untouchable. But somehow, Kwame was finding his way through the cracks, slowly, gently, and patiently. They were not lovers, not yet, but the way he spoke to her, the way he listened to her, the way he looked at her like she was just a woman, not a mystery, it was healing something inside her. They became inseparable, not in the loud, dramatic way some couples showed affection, but in the quiet, meaningful kind. Kwame would bring her books he thought she would love. She would cook for him on weekends. They would sit by the balcony and talk about something and nothing. One evening, as the sun painted the sky orange and pink, Kwame turned to her and said softly, "Anita, I think I'm falling in love with you." Anita froze. The moment she feared had arrived, her heart began to race. Her palms got sweaty. Kwame waited, his eyes steady, sincere, but Anita looked away and whispered, "Please, don't say that." He blinked. "Why not?" She shook her head. "I don't want to lose you." Kwame reached out to touch her arm, but she pulled away. "I need to tell you something," she said, voice trembling. "Something about me that might change everything." Kwame's brow furrowed, but he nodded. "Go on." They sat there quiet. As the wind picked up, Anita took a deep breath. Her heart was pounding. "I was born with something strange, something I don't understand. I've been to doctors, prophets, herbalists. I've searched everywhere, but it's still there." She looked him in the eye. "There are teeth down there, Kwame, real teeth. And I've hurt people unintentionally. It's like my body protects me too much." She expected him to laugh or walk away or say she was crazy. But Kwame just sat there stunned. Finally he said, "You've been through a lot." Anita's voice cracked. "You are going to leave now, aren't you?" He didn't answer immediately. Then he said, "I need time to think." And he stood up and walked away. That night, Anita coiled into her bed like a child. She cried into her pillow over and over again. Why did I tell him? Why didn't I just keep quiet? She didn't sleep that night. Money came like a thief, dragging her into another day she didn't want to face. 3 days passed. No message, no call, nothing from Kwame. Her heart was heavy. She felt stupid. She felt alone again. On the 4th morning, she stayed in her bed late. She didn't want to get up. She didn't want to walk. She didn't even want to eat. Then she heard a knock. She dragged herself to the door, not even caring who it was. Then she opened it. There it was Kwame, holding flowers, smiling gently. "I thought you hated flowers," she said weakly. He shrugged. "I brought them anyways." She looked at him confused. "Why are you here?" He took a step closer. "I thought about it a lot. I'm not going to lie, it scared me at first. But Anita, I don't love you because of what's between your legs. I love you for who you are." Her lips parted slightly. You love me?" He nodded. "And I don't want to be just your friend anymore, Anita. Will you marry me?" Her heart stopped. She blinked like she was dreaming. "Are you serious?" He smiled, dead serious. Anita broke into tears, but this time they were tears of joy. They got married 2 months later. It was a quiet wedding, small, classy, and elegant. Anita wore a white silk gown that flowed like water. Kwame wore a black suit with gold trim. They exchanged vows under a garden arc with soft music and gentle wind. Her colleagues at work were shocked. Her neighbors whispered, "How did she get married? Who is this man?" But Anita didn't care anymore. For once in her life, she felt seen. She felt loved. She felt safe. Their home was filled with laughter, with friendship, with peace. But there was one thing they had not done yet. They had not been intimate. They both wanted it badly, but fear lived in Anita's heart. One night they tried, soft kisses, gentle touches, but just as it was about to happen, she panicked. She pulled away. "I can't. I'm scared I'll hurt you. I'm sorry." Kwame held her gently. "It's okay. We are not in a rush." And he kissed her forehead. Days turned into weeks. One evening, as they sat watching a documentary about adoption, Anita looked at him and said, What if we adopted a child? He looked at her with warmth in his eyes. I was thinking the same thing. They laughed, they made plans, filled forms, visited a center, and soon a quiet, wide-eyed boy named Matthew joined their lives. He was 5, small, bright, and curious. Anita and Kwame became his world, but something unexpected happened one night. While getting ready for bed, Anita paused in front of the mirror. She felt different somehow. Just to be sure, she gently placed her hand between her legs. There was no sharpness, no fear, no pain, nothing. She blinked, tried again. Still nothing. She gasped. "Kwame!" she called out, voice trembling. He rushed in. "What is it?" She smiled through tears. "It's gone. The teeth, I can't feel them again. I think they are gone." Kwame hugged her tightly, spinning her around in joy. They visited a doctor for a checkup. The scans were clean. For the first time in her life, she was normal. How did this happen? How did all this even came about? Something no one had ever thought of. The doctor said it must have been a psychological reaction, a defense mechanism caused by deep fear and trauma. Now that you feel safe, your body is no longer protecting itself that way. Anita was speechless. So it was fear all along. Her body has been fighting for her, even when her mind didn't understand. She and Kwame became even closer after that. They grew their family. They lived happily. They laughed often. And the people who once whispered about Anita, they were still whispering, but this time in awe. How did she manage to marry? What is her secret? Anita never told anyone. She didn't even need to. Because for the first time ever, she was whole. Anita was building a life no one could explain. She no longer woke up crying. Instead, she woke up to the sound of Matthew's tiny feet running to her bedroom, shouting, "Mommy, Daddy, wake up." She smiled now, freely, deeply, like someone who had walked through a fire and came out gold. At work, her glow was undeniable. Her company had just launched a new product line, Anita's Tech Smart Fashion Wear. It was a success. Investors wanted it. Magazines wanted interviews. Her name was on the lips of every digital influencer. Still, behind every compliment was questions people were too afraid to ask out loud. How did she finally get married? Anita knew people were curious. Every night, when the house got quiet and the city light flickered through the curtains, Anita and Kwame would sit on their balcony, sipping tea, talking like best friends who had seen each other's soul. "Can you believe this life is real?" she asked one night. Kwame reached for her hand. "It's as real as you and me." She laughed. "Remember when I almost pushed you away?" He grinned. "You did, twice." They both laughed. One night, after putting Matthew to sleep, Anita lay beside Kwame and stared at the ceiling. "Do you think I should tell the world?" she asked. "About everything, the fear, the condition, the miracle." Kwame thought for a moment. Then he said, "Only if it will heal others, but not if it will break you again." She nodded, and that was enough. They kept their secret, not because they were ashamed, but because some stories are meant to be scared. Months passed, their bond deepened, they traveled, they created family routines, and sometimes, just sometimes, Anita would sit alone reflecting on how far she had come. She remembered the doctor who didn't believe her, the prophet who screamed for 7 days, the herbalist with clouded eyes, the man she once loved who ran away, the almost rapist who never forgot the pain. She remembered the night she almost gave up, the cold night filled with prayers, the lonely days that broke her in silence. And now, here she was, whole, loved, strong. Thank you for watching this story. Please, if you enjoyed this story and you learned something from this story, please go ahead and click on that like button. Please subscribe to my channel, drop a comment below, and I'll see you in my next story.